واتاهي داوديار صاحب يال وكسر وضع مركلي سومالي تي في سياتل واشنطن وآلابا أدوغ براتين نديسو تبيان برنامج آدي أدو حساب بدن له مركلو إيغو برنامج دي ولي بدورشوين كدعايا قبل كينا نقاسة مقالة سياتل واشنطن toddobaadadii tagayba waxaad indhihiina waa dhigihiina baad ku maqlayseen in iyagu ay si dardar uga socdaan doorashooyin lixaad leh magaalada Seattle Washington haddii ay noqon lahaayeen kuwa golaha deegaanka ama city councilka iyo waliba kuwa maayirka iyagu magaaladan ka dhacaya sidoo kale waxaanu maanta inagu joognaa xaafadda Alkaybage ayaynu kula kulannay isla markaana aynu waraysi kaga qaadnay sawaan oo iyadu dadku inta badan ay u yaqaanaan Kshama oo iyadu u ordaysa city council isla markaana position 2 ama laanta labaad qobo sidoo yaqaano marka hore waxaan leeyahay Kshama ku soo dhawow Somali TV. Welcome to Somali TV.
Thank you very much.
Intaana Kshama haddaba aan u guda gelin waa iyadu waxay u carari doontaa position ama qaybta labaad ee city councilka iyadoo walibana Janis ama waliba iyadu markaa leh in iyadu ku guuleysan doonto Janiskeedu aad iyo aad u sareeyo haddaba aniga Cabdikariin Kalkaal ayaa haddaba mayga u soo qaadanay iyo mikrofonka iyo waliba kaameradana si bal markaa aynu u maqashino codkeeda dadweynaha Soomaaliyeed iyadoo inta badan goobaha lagu qaxweeyo iimaylaha la isugu yimaadaba lagu hadalhayo isla markaana maalintii ciid ay joogtay masjidka weyn Abu Bakr Sadiq shalay oo jibcaan iyadu markaa joogtay masjidka Allo oo dad badan oo Soomaaliya ay interest ku yihiin haddaba Kshama waa tuma waa qof caankay ah maxay u ordaysaa danta iyo waxa ay soo ziyaadin doonto haddaba maxay tahay ujeedada ugu weyn ee aynu maanta waraysigeeda aynu kula yeelan doono haddii Allah uu dilo ogolaado marka ugu horeysa su'aasha aan weydiin doono ayaa waxay tahay marka ugu horeysa tell me about yourself and what is this election for?
So I wanted to start by first bringing the greetings from my campaign to the Somali brothers and sisters in Seattle. We are in solidarity with all immigrant communities. And for me, myself, being an immigrant from India, I know firsthand the life of an immigrant and how it feels to come to a completely new country with a new language and the difficulties that people face in assimilating themselves into the new community, the new society. And I think that first of all, that having immigrant voices in city government will be a huge step forward for our community as a whole, not only for East Africans and for Somalis. And as far as our campaign is concerned, we are running this campaign for city council because the city has become unaffordable for the majority of people, and many of us are stuck in low-wage jobs. Most of the low-wage jobs are occupied by immigrant community, people of color, women, single moms, and that's why we are calling for a $15 an hour minimum wage in the city.
Interesting.
And it's an idea that whose time has come because in CTAC already we have a ballot initiative for $15 an hour, and we should have that in Seattle as well. And so we are fighting for that. We were calling for that last year when we ran a campaign for the State House of Representatives. And I'm also, just coming from this whole experience of having lived in India and having observed poverty and inequality, and I think that these are global struggles that we all of us brothers and sisters have to deal with together and in solidarity, and that's the message of our campaign.
Interesting. What makes you different than other politicians who running for the office?
I think, first of all, our campaign, the very basis of our campaign is completely different. We are not a corporate-driven campaign. We are not taking any money from big corporations. Our campaign is fully funded.
Grassroots campaign.
Sorry?
Grassroots.
Yes, it's a grassroots campaign. It's a truly grassroots, 100% pro-worker, pro-immigrant campaign. The campaign is funded by contributions from hardworking people who are making a sacrifice to help this campaign succeed because they believe that everybody should have a voice in city government. They believe that everybody should have at least $15 an hour because the cost of living in this city is very high, especially if you look at the cost of housing. And our campaign is also bringing up a lot of policy proposals to deal with the skyrocketing cost of rent, the skyrocketing cost of borrowing, and we're calling for the setting up of a municipal bank. That we are saying that the city should bank with a municipal bank that can provide low interest loans for small businesses, low interest loans for people who want to borrow money to buy a home, buy a condo. And we're also calling for other measures in order to bring down the rent in the city, because of which the rent is increasing so much that people are being driven outside the city. And if you look at especially the lives of low-income people, immigrant people, people of color, we're being pushed out of the city center because we can no longer afford the rent in the city, and I think it's an urgent necessity for the city government to address that.
Okay, and also you're not a Republican and you're not a Democrat.
I'm not a Republican, I'm not a Democrat, I'm a socialist. I'm a member of a nationwide organization called Socialist Alternative. We are a group of social and economic justice activists. We have an active branch here in Seattle, but we are also based in Minneapolis, where we are running another candidate for city council.
In Minneapolis?
Yes, it's a very strong campaign. And our candidate there, Timur, he's been an activist with the Occupy Homes campaign, which is fighting against foreclosures and evictions. And we also have branches in Boston, New York City, and even Mobile, Alabama. We are also affiliated with an international movement, and we have our sister organizations in countries like South Africa, Nigeria, a lot of countries in Europe, and Russia, and so on. And in fact, we have been very active in South Africa in solidarity with the miners who are struggling for their rights over there. And I've also pledged that as a city council member, I will take only the average worker's salary and donate the rest to building social movements.
Right.
I don't know, when was the last time we heard a corporate politician doing something like that? And I don't know if my East African brothers and sisters are aware, but the City Council of Seattle, each of them is paid around $120,000, and that's a pretty high salary, for a city which is full of low-wage workers. And I think leadership has to start by personally making that sacrifice, by leading by example.
Right.
And I would consider it wrong to, to make so much money when I'm fighting for low-wage workers. And so we have to fight for it together.
Okay. All right, Kshama, what is the focus on your campaign? Why should Somalis and other immigrant communities support you?
I think first of all, it's important to note that in a city where the immigrant community and the people of color community is growing rapidly, we have very little representation for ourselves on the city government, and there is very little diversity in the city government, especially on the city council. And I think it's time that we said that we need our own, we need people from our own communities in leadership positions in the city council. But if you look at our campaign platform, we are fighting for $15 an hour minimum wage. As I said, we've been fighting for that since last year. We're also in solidarity with the fast food workers movement that has sprung up in many cities in the country, including Seattle, where the workers have courageously walked out of work in one-day strikes in order to protest for $15 an hour and the right to unionize without retaliation. These are demands that our campaign is also fighting for, and it's important for us that we reach out with our message to the immigrant community, especially to the East African and Somali community, because many of us as immigrants are living that life where we are working in low-wage jobs. Many of the workers in CTAC are immigrant workers who are working low-wage jobs.
Yeah, majority of.
Exactly. Many of the women in the Somali community, I know that provide excellent childcare, as part of their work. And childcare jobs are some of the worst paid jobs. And so I think that our struggle to give $15 an hour for all workers is directly connected with the standard of living of the Somali community in many ways. But as I said, we're also talking about affordable housing. That is another thing that deeply affects people of color and immigrant communities.
Very important issue too.
Absolutely important issue. And that's why we are not only calling for citywide rent control that will bring, rent control means not that rents won't increase, but it will make sure that the rents only increase in proportion with the overall cost of living, and you don't have this sort of skyrocketing increase of rent, which makes it impossible for working families to live in the city, and that makes their lives harder on the whole, because if you have families that live so far away from their place of work, then it makes it hard for the parents to care for their children, makes it hard for them to spend time with their families. If they're living 2 or 3 bus transfers away, it's very hard for them to make time for other things in their life. And so we think it's a humane thing to bring rent into into sort of a sense of reality, and not this kind of, and the rent is high. We have to point out that the rent is so high because it benefits big real estate developers and real estate investors, and the very wealthy does not benefit ordinary working people. And that is something that's very at the very heart of what affects the immigrant community. And we're also calling for a measure to tax people who are earning over $1 million, because we want to be able to create funding for mass transit and public education. And those are two other issues that are very close to the concerns of the immigrant community, especially the East African community, because if you look at the facilities that we have in schools for language programs, translations, to make sure that
After
children...
school.
Yes, exactly. Preschool is exactly the special facilities that we need for the city to make happen, so that children of immigrants are able to get the same opportunities for education, for developing their own skills, for discovering their talents. All of this needs resources, and we don't accept this explanation from the existing city government that says that there's no money to do this. There is a lot of money in this city. It's a question of having the political will to say that, we need to tax the very wealthy, we need to tax big corporations, so that we can allow small businesses and working families to thrive.
Wow. If viewers want to support you or your campaign, how they can help you?
So I think that, first of all, we have, we are at the very end of the campaign. We have maybe 15 days.
Right.
And it's so crucial for my immigrant brothers and sisters to support this campaign. Yes, absolutely. These are very, very critically important days.
Right.
And there is no question that beyond the campaign, me, myself, our organization, Socialist Alternative, people who have been involved in the campaign, we will still be advocating for and fighting for these issues beyond the campaign. But right now, it's extremely important for people to embrace this campaign as their own. We're fighting for these issues for everybody, especially the immigrant community. And I really make a sincere appeal to the immigrant brothers and sisters to help our campaign, help us get the word out. Contact our office. We can give you leaflets. We even have Somali language leaflets that will help you to communicate with your Somali families and other members of your community, so that you can discuss with them about our campaign and explain why it is so important for them to get involved, why it is so important for them to vote. The last day to vote, to send in your ballot, is November 5th. I'm sure many people have already got their ballots in the mail, so I would really appeal to everybody to make sure you open your ballots, fill out our, the circle where our name is, and elect a socialist, an immigrant, and a woman of color to city council, so that we can bring real change to this city.
Wow. Also, Kshama, I heard one, important things, to be honest. You pledging some of your salary. Is that true?
Yes. And in fact, the city council members in Seattle, each of them gets paid around $120,000, which is second only to the city council in LA. And so I would urge all voters to question their city council. Do you think that your city council is doing the second best job in the entire nation for them to get paid the second largest salary? And yes, I do consider it very important to take home only the average worker's salary and donate the rest to social movements. And people often wonder what would these movements be? What would we donate the money to?
Right.
And I wanted to give some examples. So if you look at the CTAC initiative, where workers, especially immigrant workers, have taken the lead in presenting this ballot initiative for $15 an hour, that's the kind of initiative that, if there is such an initiative in Seattle, and we would like to present an initiative in Seattle as well, then we would like to use the the extra financial resources for something like that. And recently, grocery workers, members of the UFCW union, voted to go on strike, and they may still go on strike if the grocery store owners don't agree to their contract demands. And this is very important to note, because these are workers who are paid very little for very hard work, and the grocery chains that are fighting them on this contract battle are highly profitable corporations, who have very highly paid executives who are earning millions of dollars. And so we think it's very important to support worker struggles of that kind. So it's very important for us to use whatever financial resources we can spare to help workers in their struggles. And it doesn't necessarily mean only unionized workers. Let's say fast food workers next year decide to go out and demand their right to unionize without retaliation. They will need financial resources. They will need community support. They will need a lot of support from everybody in order to make their struggle successful. And whatever we can do to support that, we will be doing. And that's where we will be using the spare financial resources that will come from, the salary that the city council offers. And I think, and it relates to your earlier question where you said, how is this campaign different? This is very different.
This is why. Yes. Okay. Always, the politicians, they don't like to talk about their salaries. But I can say, you different things. So that's why maybe. Is that what you think?
That is one of the differences, between our campaign and corporate campaigns. You were asking, how are you different from corporate politicians? And that is one of the major things. We're not running this campaign in order to further my personal political career. We're doing this because we believe that Seattle needs a change. And in fact, King 5 television, released a poll earlier this week that showed that 45% of people are disapproving of the city council. They're not happy with the way the city council works. And 54% of people who identify as independent, that is neither Republican nor Democrat, are unhappy with the city council. And the echo that our campaign has gotten has been huge. People are overwhelmingly responding to our campaign, and that's really amazing for a grassroots campaign with a fraction of the budget that the corporate candidates have. And one of the reasons is because they see us as genuine, authentic, and different than virtually every other political campaign that you see. And one of the aspects of our campaign is that if I'm elected, I will take home only the average worker's salary and pledge the rest to building social movements and helping workers' struggles, unionized workers if they are fighting for a fair contract, non-unionized workers if they are struggling to unionize themselves without retaliation. They will need a lot of financial resources. They will need support from the community. So those are things that we will use the financial resources that we generate for, and we will also try to build community support. And in fact, the other way in which my campaign is different is that if I'm elected to city council, part of my job will be, of course, talking to other council members and building, their support for the things that we're fighting for. But at the same time, a big part of my job is to reach out into the community. So most politicians, they come to you for your vote once every 4 years, and then they forget about you for the next 4 years. Yes, they come to you when they come to us as immigrants. Often, they want the immigrant vote, but they're doing very little to support the immigrant community. And we are completely opposite of that. In fact, when people ask me, will you remember me when you're elected, I respond by saying, I hope you will remember me when I'm elected, because I'm going to need your support to do any of the things that we're talking about. Because to get $15 an hour, to get affordable housing, to get progressive taxation, we need the community to be engaged and demand its rights along with me as a city council member. And so we have, that's the kind of community we are trying to build. And this campaign has really struck a chord with a lot of people because we are engaging people and not just saying, well, just give me your vote and then I'll do everything else. And that is why I am appealing to the people who are listening to this and watching this video to please get involved. You can get in touch with us if you look at our website, www.votesawant.org. You can write to us at votesawant@gmail.com, or you can call us at 206-486-0099, and we will help you out. We will, we have campaign leaflets, we have Somali leaflets. Please call us, tell us you need posters, you need leaflets. Please do outreach. Please go knock on doors of your neighbors and tell them, hey, here is an exciting grassroots pro-worker campaign, pro-immigrant campaign. Let's get this campaign to succeed. Let's get an immigrant voice on the city council.
waa tahay Kshama Sawant oo iyadu markaa u tartamaysa city council ama waliba aqalka oo loo yaqaano golaha deegaanka waliba position 2 ama laantiisa labaad oo aanu LKB ku wareysanaya ahayd daawadayaal saaxiibayaal waa qof idin kamid run ahaantii wadankan ku timid iyadu si immigrant ah sida anagu wadankan ku nimid oo kale isla markaana garanaysa ama dareemi karaysa xanuunka iyo dhibaatooyinka halkay ka taagan yihiin waxaana wax badan ay ka duwan tahay xaqiiqiyan markaan u eegno politicianada ama siyaasiyiinta kale iyadu waliba lacagteeda gaarka iyadu ay qaadan doonto hadii la doorto ay wax qayb ka bixin taasoo iyadu ah midaan hore loogu baran politicianada ama siyaasiyiinta haddaba hore u istaag oo haddaba u vote garee Kshama Sawant oo iyadoo runtii dad badan ay aad u xiisanayeen inay codeeyaan isla markaana dan weyn ay ugu jirto community-ga Soomaalida ku dhaqan magaalada Seattle Washington haddii ay noqon lahayd dhinacyo badan oo markaa kala duwan haddaba ayaanu codkeena ka hagran aynu siino maadaama iyadoo tahay gabar iyaduna waddanka timid sida annagoo kala runtiina dareemi karaysa dhibaatooyinkii waliba xanuunada badan iyadoo haysta jaaliyada community-yada ama waliba immigrant-ga loo yaqaano waa SomTV xabaab iyo cabdikariim kalkaalo idin leh sida iyo nabadgelyo